Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're looking at the Robot Damashii or Robot Spirits Gundam Avalanche Exia, or as most people call it, the Exia Avalanche, our number 92. This is my favorite version of the Exia because it's kind of like the coolest version. It's the one that's all decked out with extra armor plating and basically all the 7 swords and blades and things. So that's why I'm getting this guy, and I'm also getting the 00 Quanta. That's my favorite version of the 00. Not actually a huge fan of the 00 Riser unless they do a reissue or a new version of the Exia, the standard Exia, or of the 00 Riser or single 0 Riser. I'm probably not going to get anything but the Quanta and this guy from that series. But they are all cool suits. It's just a matter of preference. I'm a big Exia fan. I actually built an Exia, the standard Exia figure. It was either an HG or a non-graded kit. I don't remember anymore. But that was my first Gundam experience ever. So it's kind of cool to have a new Exia figure. But this is such an awesome figure. Some people don't like the Avalanche because it's so bulky. And this is one of the older figures. But I think they did a really good job. This guy's got a lot of nice features. So let's talk about the height real quick, then we'll look at accessories and then go through the sculpt and articulation. He's not quite 5 inches tall to the top of his head, so he does lack some height. Definitely doesn't lack bulkiness though, or detail. So it's a little bit smaller. A new version of him would be very cool from the RD line. As far as accessories go, probably the coolest and most interesting one is this. I'm just kidding, of course this is just the peg thing for the flight stand, the display stage, so that just pegs into his crotch. He has 4 beam saber or beam dagger handles, and I'll show you why we have 4 in a minute, or just right now. We have 2 saber blades that are long, then we have 2 saber blades that are short. So he's got 2 daggers and 2 long ones. And the cool thing about these, other than being really nice translucent pink, is the handles all fit on his back somewhere. So that's kind of nice. He's got the shield, very well detailed. And of course that can go onto his arm, so it's got articulation. He has 2 of these blades. I cannot remember the names of these. Are these, this one's a GN blade, right? The big one, and then these are not, I don't remember anymore. But we've got a big one and a little one, so those are cool. And those can also be stored on his back. If you use this piece, you just peg these in here. And here, oh, I'm doing it backwards. Whoops. That's what I get for not paying attention. You peg these in here and here. You can put them in either way. Big one on the right or left, doesn't matter. But you peg these in, and then you can store them on his back, which pegs in right here. So that goes there, and you can put it on the other side if you want to, but those go there. So that's cool. And now we can look at the other thing, which I think is the GN blade. It's been forever since I've watched this series, so I don't know. But that folds out, and he's got the big blade, and if memory serves, that's also a gun in this version. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a gun like that. But that opens up, and that actually folds down, and you can put his hand on the handle and then close it back up, and that's really cool. And that pegs into his forearm just like the shield does on the other side. So those peg into the forearms, which I can show you now. These little ports right here are where the things peg into. I wish they pegged in a little bit more firmly, because sometimes when you're posing them, they just pop out. But those peg in there, and then this one, I can't put it on his hand right now because his hand's not the right hand, but you'll see in the photos at the end how it actually looks. But that'll go on his hand basically like that. So you have the sword that sticks out the back when you have it in this mode, and then you can swing the sword around, and he's got a giant blade. So that's really cool. And then I can show you real quick. Actually, let's do the hands, and then I'll show you where the handles for the swords go, for the beam sabers. He's got the 2 fists that come on him in the package. He has the 2 gripping hands for the blades or for the swords. So you've got those. And then you have the 2 style hands for the cool poses, fancy poses. So that's about it for accessories. He does not come with a display stage, so you're going to have to grab an Act 4 or Act 5 one, whichever one you prefer. Let me show you where these guys peg in now. We have the 2 peg holes that are up here. So that's that gray tab. So there's one there and one there. And then we have these blue tabs or purplish tabs back here. Now these can articulate these move. You can swing them in and out because they're just pegged into this piece. So you can do whatever you want with those. Unfortunately, once you connect the shield, not the shield, well the shield can, but either the shield or the piece that holds these or the big blade, once you peg those on there, moving them around to adjust these kind of becomes a hassle because you've got too much stuff that you're moving around. So it's going to be a little cumbersome, and you're going to have to figure out how you want it to look before you just slap everything on there and try to pose them. But those all go up there, which look kind of cool. And then, is there anything else I need to show you before we go through articulation? I don't think so. I think we're kind of covered there. Okay, so let's go through the articulation. We're going to pop these off just to get them out of the way. First of all, the sculpt is really nice. I do like it. I think they really nailed the head. I love the way the head looks, and they did a really nice job of executing it. Looks really, really good. The yellow paint is a little sloppy here and there. You can see on those chest pieces. It's not perfect on the shoulder. It's not perfect, but it still looks pretty good. Now the articulation. We have a ball hinge for the neck. You can kind of see that in there. Then the neck itself is on a ball peg. So you can move the head around. You can get them to look up pretty well. Looks down pretty well also. No real problems with the posing. These guys right here are articulated. Same on the other side. Go forward or back, whatever you want to do. This piece that goes around the front of the chest, and you can see it kind of connect here, is technically floating. We have a ball peg for the shoulder that goes straight through into the torso, and this piece is connected, not really connected, but kind of around that. So moving the arm sometimes moves that, which is really troublesome, but it's not that big a deal, and you can pretty much usually get them in place. I'm not sure why they didn't just sculpt those on there. I don't think the posability is helped by that. We do have some translucent plastic in the head. For the side of the head, we have it in here. We have it, do we have any anywhere else? I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it for the Exia Avalanche. Anyway, so we have this shoulder, whole shoulder pad is hinged. And then we have this hinge, which is actually just a ball peg. So this piece can fold out like this. And then if you want to fold it down and reveal those things for flight, that looks really cool. Unfortunately, once you open that, this guy right here isn't actually connected to anything, but it's not that noticeable, especially when you leave that down. So no big deal. So that's our shoulder articulation for the armor. And then the shoulder itself has a standard hinge. Of course, we can rotate around with that ball peg that I told you was inside. You just kind of have to move that back in place. We get our bicep swivel down here actually this time. And we have our double jointed elbow, which is a little stiff, but it does work. Not bad range of motion for being so bulky. I don't mind it too much. Let's get this guy all folded back up and down. And then our wrist articulation is our standard ball peg. Now for the torso, I'm not 100% sure what we have going on here because I can't really take it apart and I can't get in there to really see. I think it's a ball peg for this upper torso. It may not be. It doesn't give you a great range of motion either way, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. But you do get a little bit of an ab crunch out of the top and a little bit side to side. So those might actually be two separate hinges, or it might be a ball peg. I don't know, but you can see there. I think it's actually a ball peg because you do get rotation out of that upper torso, which is not common for these figures. So that's another reason I'm not 100% sure on that. And then of course we have a ball peg for the lower torso. You can see that in through the back, just a standard ball peg going into that gray piece connected to the red piece. These guys here are somewhat soft plastic, but they are not actually connected in the bottom, so they will move around with the body and still maintain a nice sculpt and look cool. So that's a pretty nice feature. This butt flap is solid, it's connected, so you don't have to worry about posing that. These front skirt armor pieces are standard ball pegs, so no problems there. Hip articulation is just a ball peg with the thigh swivel built in. I was told that the Exia, the standard Exia, had loose hips side to side and then they were really tight forward and back. This guy doesn't have it. They're perfectly tight the way they need to be this way, and then they're perfectly tight the way they need to be this way. No squeaking and no looseness. Perfectly happy with that. We do get a decent range of motion out of them also. For the knees, we have a hinge right in there. You can see the hinge. Then we have a second hinge in the lower knee, which I'm not really sure why they did that. I guess because you can kind of move it around to make it look better. But most of the time you're just going to use it like a single hinge. So I guess that's okay. Doesn't really add anything, doesn't hurt anything, so that's fine. And then for the ankles, we have this ankle armor, which I do like that design. I kind of wish they would employ something like that a little more often. So that hides the back of the ankle. This front piece, not quite as good. It's just a tabbed in piece. I'm not really sure what the purpose of that being like that is, but it works okay. We have a ball peg for the ankle itself, so that allows for this range of motion. It does allow for some play side to side, but we also have, as you can see there, a really nice hinge for an ankle rocker, so you can pose this guy's feet really well. And then we also have a toe hinge, which folds the proper direction. Most of the Gundams recently, or the Robot Damashii, only fold down, which I don't really know why. I want to be able to fold it up so I can pose him with his knee bent and his foot still on the ground. And you can do that with this guy, so I'm really happy with that. I know at some poses you're going to see the guts of the ankle a little bit too much, but I don't think it's so much so that it doesn't, that it's not a good design. I think the extra posability is very much appreciated, so I like that. So that's the basic rundown of this guy. Very nice figure. I guess I should point out you can slide the stage holder thing in right there, right underneath that seam. I don't know if you can use that screw hole or not. I haven't tried. But so definitely a very nice figure. He's definitely a popular one. For the most part, you know, some people like him, some people don't. But I think if you like the Exia Avalanche, then you should definitely pick this up. Even though he's a little bit small, very, very nice figure. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites. Even though I'm a little bit biased for the Exia Avalanche, I think it is definitely a good figure. So stick around for the photos at the end so you can see him in action. One other thing I wanted to mention, guys, is that we have created a group on Facebook. If you are active on Facebook, come join our group. It's all about Robot Damashii or its predecessor lines. So any of the action figures of the Gundams, not the Gunpla, not the kits, but either Robot Damashii or the all those other ones with other variable letters and names and things. If you like that stuff and you collect it and you want to take photos or just talk about it or see upcoming news and things like that, check out the Facebook group. I will put a link in the description. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.